Good morning. Today, our topic is all about brainstorming for potential research topics, module number 1. Our objectives for today, at the end of the presentation, you should be able to 1. Compare and contrast inquiry and investigation, and 2. Prepare a research plan and a focus on issues and ideas in your respective field. But before we begin with our discussion, I will show you a series of pictures and I want you to guess or imagine what images or pictures could you identify with the pictures that will be shown. Like the first one, what do you see? If you focus on the white portion, what image could you identify? What about the dark portion? What about this one? What do you see on the picture? And for this picture, what do you see? How about this picture? How many people do you see? And what seems to be happening in the picture? And overall, what do you think is the atmosphere that is being conveyed by the picture? Let us first understand research the way the famous Nobel Prize writer Mr. Albert Georgi thinks. He says research is to see what everybody else has seen and to think what nobody else has thought. What do you think about his ideas? Correct. Research means critical thinking. A person who would like to engage in research must possess a critical thinking mind, meaning to say that person must think out of the ordinary, even think outside the box. Thinking outside the box means that he or she will consider possibilities about a problem, a topic, or any issue or concern. Also, research, according to Mr. Georgi, means going beyond what is expected of you in such a way that it will entail effort, action, and perseverance to complete a research study. Research is not something that everybody does, but research is something that will contribute to the benefit of many. Let us now dig deeper into understanding inquiries, investigations, and immersion. Inquiry is defined as a process of searching for knowledge and information about a problem through asking questions and probing. Typically, this is done through looking up a word in a dictionary or searching for a term on the internet or simply asking for any information from a relevant source. Meanwhile, investigation is a systematic process of inquiring about a problem through inspection and assessment. Here, investigation also asks a question and gets an answer, but what is added is the double checking or inspection of assessment, meaning to say information that is presented is not immediately accepted to be true. There is a need for double checking or cross validating. That is why investigation is a systematic process, looking for an answer and double checking or evaluating the truthfulness of the information. Investigation requires thorough and careful examination of information more than inquiry, making the former more difficult to conduct than the latter. Nevertheless, through inquiry and investigation in research, you can get a glimpse of the past, understand the present, and somehow predict the future to come. Calderon and Gonzalez of 1998 presented a comprehensive definition of research when they said that it is a purposive, systematic, and scientific process of gathering, analyzing, classifying, organizing, presenting, and interpreting data for the solution of a problem, for prediction, for invention, for the discovery of truth, or for the expansion and or verification of the existing knowledge, all for the preservation and improvement of the quality of life. Here, they emphasized that research is not really a walk in the park, meaning to say, if one must do research, one should carefully plan, execute, and scientifically document the whole research investigation. Furthermore, research is done for different purposes. However, ultimately, whatever purpose that is, it is geared toward the preservation and improvement of the quality of life. Hence, research is all for convenience. Thus, we can say that research is everywhere, and research is here to stay. Because as long as man lives, there is always a need to improve the quality of human life, thus, the need for research. Finally, immersion in research should not be confused with work immersion, which is another subject. Here, immersion means that the researcher must be voluntary, honest, and diligent in undertaking the research process to understand or measure the problem scientifically and appropriately producing valid and reliable results. In a nutshell, immersion means that the researcher must be fully committed, passionate, and determined to conduct and accomplish the whole research investigation. Why? Because the researcher believes that this study would contribute much and would create change to the respective field that he or she is into. Now let's discuss brainstorming on potential topics for research. There are so many considerations when choosing a potential topic for your research. The first one is understand your assignment. Obviously, your research teacher will be the one to set the guidelines or the rules for your research depending on your need, your strength, and the availability of your topics. Also, the following should be considered in terms of grouping. Is it going to be individual, paired, or grouped research? In terms of scope of topic, is it strand related or depending on your strand? Here, since you are humanities and social sciences, you will be focused on strand related topics only. Or is it school based, social issues, or anything that will make you do an invention or an innovation research? In terms of research type, is it qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods? What about data sources? Is it only internet, printed materials, purely surveys, interviews, observations, or experiments? In terms of the paper or the documentation, like the format, is it going to follow the IMRAD structure, which is the modern type of writing academic papers, or is it going to still follow the traditional way of writing, which is a five-chapter research? What about the style guide or the general formatting guide in documenting papers? Is it APA, MLA, Chicago manual style, Harvard style, or any style that will be utilized? Anything is actually possible as long as you remain faithful and consistent with your style guide. The style guide will include the font style, the font size, spacing, margin, header and footer when necessary, pagination or the number of pages, tables and figures or charts as your appendices, reference list, title page, and even preliminaries and PowerPoints for presentations. The paper type is either legal sized, letter sized, or A4, and for the binding purposes, is it soft bound, hard bound, or ring bound, or probably just a soft copy of your research, considering that we are now amid the pandemic. After understanding the assignment given by your research teacher, you now are ready to go to the second consideration, and that is finding your focus. To find your focus, you need to answer the following reflective questions. 1. What are my interests and why? Your interest may be something about your hobby or something related to what you do or what you are into as a senior high school student. If you are Humes, most likely you are interested in social sciences or in social issues. If you're a STEM student, your inclination would most likely be toward invention or innovation of existing products or materials. Or if you are an EIM student, your concern would be more of the development of skills, the identification of problems in the acquisition of skills. 2. Is my topic too broad or too narrow? Here, you also consider, after identifying an interesting topic for you, you have to ask yourself, is it broad or narrow? So you can do that by asking another question like this. What exactly about my topic do I want to focus on? Or what exactly about my topic do I want to research on? And number 3, you also need, this is very important, to look at the potential benefits of your research. Who will benefit your research? What kind of benefit? And what will happen after getting that benefit? Here, if you are able to highlight the importance of your research, it will now give value to your study. Number 4, you also have to check your knowledge about the topic. Do you think you know much about the topic? Or do you think that you are still unaware of the topic? And if that is the case, there is now a need to read. What you read would be related literature or references or sources related about your specific topic of interest. And also, what should you know about your topic? And finally, what do previous studies say about your topic? So yeah, there's a need for you to read relevant and related literatures. Take for example this diagram that was made by one of my former students in Asia Pacific College. I gave them the instruction of narrowing a topic that is related to their school, which is Asia Pacific College. And they can do that by answering the question, what exactly about the topic do I want to research on? So let's try to understand the diagram. Of course, it starts at the top center portion, which is the Asia Pacific College as an institution, by asking the question, what exactly about the topic or APC do I want to research on? It branches out to two main topics, which is academic or administrative. Academic may talk about the students, may talk about the education itself. But the administrative here means how the education or the institution is being handled. So let's first focus on the academic side. Of course, academic part of APC is still very broad. Now, let's go back to the same question. What exactly do I want to research about the topic? And it now begins to branch out again to different subtopics, namely student organizations, professors, courses, students, and subjects. These narrowed topics are possible for research. However, you also consider what you seem to be feeling interested of. All right. Now, say for example, you are interested more on analyzing or investigating about students. Now, of course, students will still be a little broad or general in nature. So, what exactly about students do you want to research on? Now, it branches out to two narrowed topics, such as regular or irregular students. Now, of course, you try to again ask the question if there is still a need to further narrow it down by asking the question, what exactly do I want to research on? Now, you somehow thought that regular students seem to be a topic that has been overly researched. Therefore, I would like to talk about or to research on irregular students. But you have also realized again that irregular students seem to be quite a broad topic again. Therefore, you would like to particularize by answering the same question. What exactly do you want to research on? Then you have branched it out to repeaters that have failed previous subjects and thus become an irregular student, a transferee from a different institution going to Asia Pacific College, and therefore will be an irregular student because there might be subjects that are credited and there might be some that are not. And finally, shifties from the same institution, which is APC, like from engineering, the student shifts or changes course to accountancy, for example, and thus all these three are irregular students. Now, I think we have quite a narrowed list of topics here. But this time around, you would now want to focus on a particular group of people because these are people, right? Repeaters, transferees, and shifties. And you have come to realize that, hey, transferees seem to be an interesting topic to me. But you have also realized that there might be a narrower topic that you would like to research on. Okay, and you have now been branched out to the advantages and disadvantages of transferees in terms of adjustments, new environment, and interaction. And thus, you would like to research on the adjustments of transfer students at APC that now becomes your topic for research. Meanwhile, that also goes the same for the administrative. Is it accounting, admissions, guidance, resource office, or register? Here, the narrowed topics are the offices that are under the administrative branch of APC. Now, you can consider registrar, for example, and what exactly about registrar do you want to research on? Is it about the people in charge of the registrar office or about the duties or obligations of a registrar, like student records or enrollment process? Or what about the IT resource office? Is it about the personnel or the duties? Now, the duties can be handling APC websites or electronic cards because Asia Pacific College also uses e-cards for payment purposes for various services. Or probably guidance office like personnel or its services like interviews and counseling. Thus, this diagram only shows how well you could actually arrive at a narrow topic by asking the more important question, which is, what exactly about the topic do I wish to research on? Moreover, you might want to know some gaps of knowledge or missing information that you have realized after reading related sources or references. Now, gaps of knowledge may be any of the following. One, topic, like what is not being looked at, or methods, what is not being done, or populations, who is not being studied. And fourth, comparisons, what is not being compared. So when you consider these four areas that can be a good source of knowledge gap or gap of knowledge, you would be able to find a very interesting specific topic for your research because gaps of knowledge provide a major importance of research because as a researcher, you are now tasked to provide the gap or provide the information necessary to bridge the gap and therefore eradicate it eventually. And lastly, ask yourself if your topic is already smart, meaning to say, is it already narrowed or specific? Is it measurable for quantitative research or for qualitative research? Do you think you can analyze it? You can using a particular data analysis? Is it attainable? Meaning to say, within your scope of abilities, is it realistic in such a way that you can also achieve that with your resources and time bound? Like given a whole semester, can you do it? For humanities and social sciences, these are the following areas that you might want to consider in identifying your topic. Also, these are some general topics that you can consider to arrive at a specific or narrowed topics. Notice that topics like Clean Air Act, population explosion, sex education, and domestic violence are not only general or broad topics, but are also common and overly researched topics, meaning to say, at present, there have been so many researches about these topics. However, you can still consider these as good topics for research, provided that you specify what exactly about these broad topics you would like to research on. Make sure that it's smart, and at the same time, you look at these topics in a different angle or from a different perspective. For example, in the case of bullying, many researches have been conducted about the effects of bullying, the physiological, the mental, and emotional effects of bullying, or the bullied people, the policies, the punishment, the awareness of bullying. However, you have realized upon reading too that the causes of bullying or the reasons why bullies actually engaged into bullying another person seems to be less frequently researched on. Therefore, the causes of bullying seems to be a research gap or a gap of knowledge. Thus, it can still be a good research topic. Here, it only means that bullying, though a common and overly researched topic, can still be a good topic for research. Specifically, the reasons or the factors of bullying can be a good research topic. Also, Some topics may be very interesting to research, but may be too difficult or too unsmart. For example, from the list, you can see struggles of shy people. Now, a problem with this broad topic is how do we assess shy people, or how do we know when a person is shy or otherwise? Therefore, there is a need to really look or delve into related literatures. Try to scan researches that talk about shy people. Did they incorporate any particular scale or measurement to assess the shyness, the level of shyness of certain individuals or group of people? So you also need to consider that whether or not a topic is smart and achievable as a research. For STEM students, these are some areas where you can find a specific or any interesting topic in mind. It can be education, medical science, pure sciences, IT, engineering, architecture, computer science, or even mathematics. Here are some sample topics, general ones for STEM. It can be smoking, weight loss or weight gain, stress, depression, organic foods, recycling programs, pollution, technology, addiction, physical disorders, alternative products or medicine, learning disabilities, communication, conservation, or any invention or innovation. For electrical installation and maintenance students, you can consider the following topics. You may research on electrical tools, wiring, circuits, measurement, skills acquisition, maintenance, signs, symbols, electrical security, plans and diagrams, conversion, misuses and negligence, troubleshooting, or even electrical activities. If your teacher allows you to, you can also consider institutional or educational topics such as teaching, like online teaching or learning, modular learning, for example, different offices and departments in our school, policies, facilities, and even the school environment. And the final consideration in choosing for a potential topic for research is creating your research agenda. Once you have already identified the topic of your research and fully understood the guidelines in creating a research, you are now ready to make your research agenda. Here, you are presented with a format which you can use when drafting your research agenda. And it goes like this. My research agenda focuses on, here you state your broad topic. It can be a person, people, feeling, idea, policy, program, event, or phenomenon. Particularly the research type. It can be understanding or characterizing or discovering, exploring for qualitative research, or measuring, testing, identifying, relating for quantitative research. The specific topic that you have in mind, again, it can be a feeling, an idea, person, people, policy, program, event, or phenomenon. The only difference is that it's narrower or a specific topic, which is going to be your specific topic for research. And of your respondents, who are now going to be your target participants for the study at your locale or where you would be most likely getting your respondents from. Period. The second sentence is I specialize in your strand. So, what is your strand? So, my chosen topic will help me too. So, here, your reason, you provide now the value of your research. Again, the value of your research may be stating the significance of your research, like the benefit of your research, who benefits from it, and what happens after receiving your benefit. So that is your research agenda, a two-sentence agenda talking about your purposes for the research. For example, my research agenda focuses on COVID-19 pandemic, particularly understanding the lived experiences of selected medical frontliners at Taguig Pateros District Hospital. I specialize in humanities and social sciences, so my chosen topic will help me not only to identify and describe the various stories of the respondents, but also understand their sacrifices to serve our nation. So this is an example of a research agenda. Now, the broad topic is COVID-19 pandemic. The research type is understanding, which is very qualitative in nature. Lived experiences is a specific topic, and the term lived experiences is an expression that would signify phenomenological research, which is a type of qualitative research. Medical frontliners is now your respondents, and eventually it will be about nurses to further specify. The locale would be the Gigpateras District Hospital. Then the strand is Humes, and the reasoning is to identify and describe the stories so that you would be able to understand their sacrifices and their struggles, perhaps, as a medical frontliner amid the pandemic. In summary, we can say without a doubt that research plays a crucial factor in the convenience and improvement of the quality of life. Moreover, Mr. Einstein emphasizes it in his quotation, you cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. You must learn to see the world anew. He might mean that life will always bring us problems, challenges, and difficulties, but through research, it can provide us answers to our questions, solutions to our problems, and satisfaction to our wonders as we journey through life. Hence, research may be one of the best experiences that you could ever have, especially in your senior high school. So what are you waiting for? Are you up for the challenge? Do you have any questions? And that will be all. Thank you so much and have a great day.